Hello, hello, hello. Here we are.
Hello, the dancing economist.
Yes, it's me, the dancing economist.
Wonderful to connect again, and Andrea, back to you at back to the Global Empowerment Summit again. So great to be
Yes,
on
I'm
board
so
again.
happy to be with you. And also, thank you so much for jumping in. Sometimes these things happen. So, Kayatthri is ill and she couldn't come. And I was like, okay, let's call someone. And Arman was like, just sent by fate, just like this, telling me I want to be part of this. So, I was like, okay, let's bring Arman up and then let's have a beautiful mental health session because it's anyway such an important topic nowadays. The mental health issues are really crippling into everywhere. So I think it's important to talk about it. So tell me a little bit, Arman, what happened to you? Where are you? What's going on in your life since we haven't seen each other?
Thank you, Andrea. So look, this is my third year with the Global Empowerment Summit. I'm based in Melbourne now, and some of you, I've met before in the audience. I was born in Kuala Lumpur and have lived between Kuala Lumpur and Melbourne most of my life. And yeah, so look, this is my third year, as I said, right? First year I was in person in Kuala Lumpur. Second year, I think I was in between KL and Melbourne virtually, and then of course this year I'm based in Melbourne. Great to connect. I saw a great turn up in terms of the number of speakers and all the topics you're touching on. So a great job again, Andrea.
Yeah, it's the third year, and I'm telling to everyone next year we will have an in-person event. I'm already planning it, so it will be a big 4 or 5 days long event. I haven't decided yet in which place, but most probably Kuala Lumpur or Singapore, and all of you can come and just be here. So I'm so excited about it, and I really want to make that happen with all of you and bring all of you together, and then we can launch the book, the 365 Empowering Studies with all the speakers who were coming, and all of you will have a chapter, and you can write your own inspiring story and some best of your tips from business and life for the people.
we we look forward to it. From on behalf of the empowerment group, which is you met my colleagues before, led by Dr. Yo Pei Lee, who the Dr. Yo told me she's joining you for one of the
Yeah, yeah,
sessions.
yeah. She's here with me today. So thank you for introducing her. And let's start the conversation by the first question from Al. My
Yeah,
curious number is here. So the TEG is standing for.
empowerment group. So we actually have an overlap with the empowerment summit, the summit's theme, right? So to give you a bit of background to this, Dr. Yo was actually our trainer. I call Dr. Yo my sifu. She's been my sifu for my both mental health journey and also spiritual journey as well. So I've been very close to her as a student and now as a colleague as well. And so this initiative, the empowerment group, right, is still at a very early stage. We call it a global partnership of mental health practitioners between Malaysia, Australia, Singapore, and Indonesia. So it brings together Dr. Yo, myself, our colleague Anne Shin Pillai, who is based in Singapore, and Erin Indrani, who's based in Indonesia. So we did last year have a panel together, and I'm hoping that next year we can do that again. And this year, Dr. Yo and I'm on board, and yeah, so that's our focus is really on mental health empowerment. What we mean by mental health empowerment is that we take a slightly different angle than traditional mental health. Of course, we are all mental health practitioners, right? We are all counselors, so we see clients and we embrace traditional mental health as well, and we are trained in it, and and it plays a really important role in improving well-being in the community. But at the same time, Andrea, we focus a lot on community mental health care, which is prevention and information. What this means, quite simply, is that we are not only reactive, but also we are looking at being proactive and preventive. Meaning,
Preventive.
yes, we have a mental health crisis, Andrea, as we know, right? And I think post-pandemic. But let's come to terms with something. The pandemic did not create mental health issues. It may have aggravated it, may have exacerbated it, maybe intensified it, but it definitely did not cause it, right? So it's a wake-up call for us to really go back to the community to see what are the drivers of mental health challenges, right? So of course there's a crisis, and the people who need help, they may need specialized care either from a counselor, from a psychologist or a psychiatrist. But at the same time, I think there's a case to be made that if we have more mental health literacy, more awareness, and what I would say more sensitivity and emotionally responsive sensitivity at the local level, whether it's with your colleagues or whether it's your family members or whether it's in a school, we'll have early level responses to mental health stresses. So we will be able to actually prevent perhaps even majority of cases, right? Escalation to something that becomes a long-term condition. So at an
Yeah,
early
prevention is so important. I love the focus of this, and it's always good to um, bring awareness in front about things that are going underlying in our society. And yeah, as you said, the crisis was already here. Maybe it's because of digitalization, maybe it's because of the rush in the society, maybe there are many, many cultural things also inside. So what happened to us in the last few years, it was just something that was accelerating it a little bit and bringing it more forward. I love this, and let's continue the discussion, but I would like to get back to you yourself and your mental health story and journey. So tell us a little bit about that. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay, so look, it goes back to 1981. I was born in Kuala Lumpur. And as I said, right, I was largely raised in Malaysia and lived last 20 years back and forth between Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur and Australia. I was in Malaysia from 18 to 21, actually part of the pandemic as well. And in terms of my past life, which I talk about, my previous life, I was actually a political analyst and a policy analyst. I worked or consulted with the World Bank, with the Canadian Foreign Office, the US State Department, working a lot in the political and security space. So what does that really mean? So it means that I worked a lot on conflict and violence prevention. And at some point, and look, and it was a very rewarding career, right? Because I felt that in the policy, policy reforms, changes, there's a lot of work that's been done in terms of preventing violent extremism and conflict. But at the same time, I felt that there's another sort of preventive intervention that we can take, right? Because the policy responses can often be, there's a terrorism, extremism, or violent extremism threat, and you, of course, have to find out how the society, the law enforcement agencies, governments respond to it. But there's another angle to it, which is a preventive role, and I'll just put that quite simply as world peace needs inner peace. And look, it may sound very idealistic, but I strongly believe that mental health can be a safeguard to build a peaceful, cohesive, and resilient community. If I want to make it even simpler, a person with a healthy emotional state, a person who has mentally is mentally in a sound state, right, is highly unlikely to indulge in violence, indulge in extremism, indulge in terrorism, and I would say even indulge in corruption. So in a way, like look, because and then I take it a step further, right? We work with children, right? That if we can teach children from a young age to be tolerant, to be accepting, not only tolerant, right? Tolerance is the first step, but accepting, to be embracing of inclusive diversity, we help them from a young age to build social responsibility, a civic responsibility, right? It's highly likely that they will grow up to be positive influences in society and unlikely to be involved in any violence or any extremism or any radical, antisocial behavior. So that's what got me, working on conflict and violence prevention. Fast forward to, mental health, and in between that, a recognition, right, that actually it's not two separate worlds. World peace is inner peace, and mental health can be such an important preventive factor to create a healthy society.
Perfect points, and I really appreciate that you shared with us your story and how you got here. And I think that would be also great to help a little bit to the people to put mental health professionals and mental health prevention in kind of a system or an understanding. So what is exactly what mental health professionals do, and what are the types of mental health professionals that are out there, and who should turn to which one? Because I think these are the 3 points which is very important: know what it is, know who they are, and know when to go to them.
So such a good question, right? And look, I want to just emphasize one quick point as well before I start on that. This is one profession where you have to have a sense of purpose. It's because you're dealing with humans, so it is a caring and very purposeful profession in that sense. So so as practitioners, right, we really have to know our why, and why are we doing this, and sometimes when we work with our clients and you realize, right, that you've been able to work collaboratively with them for them to have a new beginning, in their life, right? And that's when you realize why we do what we do. So now look, but then when we go to why we do what we do, the bigger question is, what do we really do? Look, broadly speaking, the mental health ecosystem, I would say, has three main providers: counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists. But I would also add with them social workers or community workers, and that would also include the lay counselors as we talk about them, right? So, okay, so let me go through each of them briefly so that we have an understanding of the different entry points or the different career points, right? And this is helpful for both the community to know how to seek help, but it's also helpful for those who want to pursue a career in this field, right? So, counselors. Counselors can provide therapy, and and the different forms of therapy we provide, whether it's cognitive therapy or whether it's more emotion focused. It depends on our theoretical orientation, but largely speaking, we create a safe space, right, for clients to come to us and talk about the challenges and to help them, resolve them and actually move towards the change that they're seeking. What we cannot do here is diagnosis. So we are not able to, as counselors, we are able to provide you the mental health support, we're able to help you address some of the symptoms, but we are not able to do a diagnosis that, and say, okay, you're suffering from, you're experiencing, right, clinical depression or anxiety or even PTSD, right? So for that, you have to go to a clinical psychologist. A clinical psychologist can see and provide therapy, but can also do the diagnosis, meaning they can diagnose you formally based on, again, it's a quite an elaborate process, and clinical psychologists are trained extensively to have a very robust process through which they can actually identify disorder or condition. Then comes the psychiatrist, right? Psychologists or counselors, for that matter, are not able to prescribe any medications. And psychiatrists, on the other hand, come from the medical profession, and they're able to provide medication. Right? So that's
It's even good for me because sometimes I'm mixing the two up. So psychiatrist and psychologist, right? Those are the two things.
Psychologists and counselors. Counselors largely talk therapy and different types of therapy. Psychologists, that plus diagnosis. Psychiatrists, medication, right? And there is a division of labor here, and the division of labor, right, Andrea, is really based on severity of cases, right? The reality is, majority of people do not necessarily need medication yet, meaning that if it escalates or if the conditions that cannot be prevented in the long run, they may need that medication to see a psychiatrist, right? So the severity of the case will determine that. On the other hand, there could be a minority number of cases where actually they need medication from the outset, so they may need to see a psychiatrist earlier than later. So there's no stigma here, right? Whether you're going to counselor, psychologist, or psychiatrist, right, is seeking out help, and I think that's the important thing here, without really stigmatizing any of them in that sense, right? So there needs to be more. I think it's still the early stage, right? So the good news is, in Malaysia we see a lot of conversations, and the mental health discourse has really picked up in since the pandemic. But I think where we still have a lot of work to do is really what I would call the allied healthcare, mental healthcare professional sort of collaboration and exchanges. In other words, conversations between counselors, psychologists, and psychiatrists, because there is a room for a lot of like referrals and us working together for long-term benefits of the clients. For example, we could have a client who needs, we see that the symptoms persist and they may need a diagnosis and a medication. Likewise, after the diagnosis and medication, for long-term support, they may want to come back to counselor again to prevent the relapse, right? So, and bearing in mind there's a shortage, right? There is a shortage of mental health professionals. So we have to really do a triage need-based, right? The less severe cases come to counselor first, more severe cases go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Otherwise, there is really an inefficient allocation of resources, and we have to work on that. And I just add one quick point here, right? That not only the three of us, right, the counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, Andrea, there's another important group, right, which is what I would call the community. workers or social workers. And sometimes we call them para counselors, but essentially what I mean by this is they could be trained in mental health first aid, psychological first aid, and they have the, the basic training that's needed to respond to
Hmm.
someone's emotional needs. Why this is important, right, is that look, mental health cannot be confined to only professionals. It doesn't work resource wise, doesn't work demand supply wise. At the end of the, each one of us can play a role to build a healthier a society with more mental well-being for all. What I mean by this is that if we are aware about mental health, if I'm a supervisor, I'll be more considerate and more sensitive and be more adaptive to my employees, even giving feedback, for example, in a way that's emotionally sensitive. Likewise, in the family environment, I would be able to provide the emotional check-in or the support that's needed for my children as well. And that early level response or early level support can often prevent escalation into a crisis or full blown, like a challenge that they're facing, or even a mental health disorder condition. So in this sort of ecosystem, I would say, right, that I would not only the three professionals we talked about, community members also play a really important role, and that's where we need literacy. Mental health training cannot be just just reading a blog or something. Well, don't get me wrong, blogs are helpful for understanding what's happening, but we do need more specific training that looks at, okay, these are the symptoms of depression. If you see that in your family members, maybe it's time to suggest that they need to seek out professional help.
Yeah, it's so important, and I think we also have to add the other part, like if I have problems, right? Because it's so rare that we are mentioning the other perspective, that I have problems, I don't know which level I am, right? I don't know which severity I have. So how do I know who should I call? Should I go to Yellow Pages and I'm like, okay, searching for a psychiatrist, and then I'm called? So it's like something very hard for someone who struggled to figure out who to reach out to, right?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's so different countries have different sort of entry points in that sense, right? Sometimes, you could actually go to general practitioner GP who would refer you to a psychiatrist. Sometimes you go to a counselor who go to and refer to a psychiatrist. To me, it really depends on the severity of your case, right? If
So
it's
just reach out actually, and then if you reach out, then those people will refer you anyway to the people who you need to meet,
yes,
right?
absolutely, and then you get the and the thing is, right, it doesn't also have to be in that sense, right? Like a one-off thing, in the sense that it's a what we call, right. There's a term called the step care model, right? So it's a more coordinated service delivery where a person's the service they get, right, is also goes higher or lower in the hierarchy depending on their needs. So they could start off maybe with support from a counselor, but they feel that they see that no, these are severe cases and that's causing disruption in that sense, right? And that actually needs more specialized care and more and could refer to a psychiatrist and a psychologist, right, for both the diagnosis and medication. So that's why I say that really it's so important for us to have that conversation between mental health professionals so that that referral is actually done.
Yeah,
Likewise, the same.
the connection between you is the same, like building a network of professionals so that you can easily refer and easily know, okay, this client maybe is going well with this person, but this client maybe should go to this person. So I think it's such a nice familiar way of sending the people to the safe place.
Absolutely. And I think, and that's where, look, the reverse can also happen. Someone can go to a psychiatrist and they see that, look, the symptoms are probably not that severe and they probably would be better off to go to a counselor first. And then if there's a persistence of the same symptoms, they come from medication as well. So really it's a need-based care that we need to move towards. And for that, we have to break the stigma that exists, right? Whether it's to go to a psychologist or psychiatrist or counselor, there's still stigma in society. And quite simply, Andrea, if I can someone can tell you that I have just think of random examples, like I've been having a little problem in my my throat and I need to go see a doctor, or my heart and I need to see a doctor. So if you can actually seek out help for physical health issues, there's no reason we can't do that for mental health issues. So I must quote Dr. Yo here on this, right? Because we do know that in the workplace there's often a lot of discrimination that takes place sometimes. Sadly, still does exist, right? So Dr. Yo envisions different future where in the workplace you will not be persecuted or discriminated for seeking out mental health help. Rather, the opposite. You'll be rewarded for it, right? Because we all have challenges. And when you are seeking out help, actually it shows you're braver than others, right? So perhaps
That
the,
is a question. Counselor is the first contact point for advice. So
look,
that's the question.
look, not necessarily, but often it can be. Look, it's a if it's very severe and you feel that there's the severity is that it's causing a lot of disruption, and to your life overall as a whole. You can also go directly to a psychiatrist or psychologist, but they will do the assessment there, right? Whether you need, from a diagnosis, whether you're diagnosed with something, and they may refer you back to a counselor as well, or a counselor may refer you back to them. So it's actually quite interchangeable. But of course, the model in countries where the public healthcare system plays a big role, you do go to GP, and a GP also makes that call, right, to refer you to one of the practitioners right there, and it comes up with other issues like affordability and all. But yes, but having said that, Jagat Tisrari, counselors can be a point of contact as well, where and they can also refer you to both clinical psychologists and psychiatrists.
Okay, and because this week is about business growth, I think a lot of business professionals will look out for these videos. So, what would you think is the biggest problem in the business world nowadays? What can be people dealing with, and what are the solutions, or what are the things that people can do easily at home, even to lighten those stress, to feel a little bit better, to get more balanced?
So, really important question, and I think it's something we need to highlight. Look, incidentally, I do write for the Malaysian Star once in a while, and I did write on exactly this issue, which is about the business case for mental health in the Star of a World Mental Health Day this month, October, right? So, look, the most important thing here is again awareness, and I think that's really where it boils down to again. We are more aware than before. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, I think and I'm not talking about only Malaysia, right? But I think there's a long way to go there. And quite simply, look, it's not rocket science, right, to say that a happy employee is likely to be a productive employee. A happy employee is likely to be an employee who has not only well-being for himself, or is not only productive himself, but is likely to also improve the performance of the company as a whole. So I think the big mindset shift that we need to make here is that it's not a it's and studies have shown, right, that when you invest in mental health within the workforce, it actually leads dollar value wise as well. It actually leads to benefits as well. So really, I'll boil it down to really that there is, I think, the recognition, right, that this doesn't have to be a sunk cost, right? There is actually a business case here, and if I just also just quote a bit of statistics here with Andrea, with your permission here, which is that there was a 2017 study, right, which was carried out by Lancet Psychiatry Journal, published it, and that showed that a $1 investment by governments led to in mental health led to a return of $4 for the economy. Likewise, another study, this was I think done by PwC, if I'm not mistaken, showed that within a company, a $1 spent on workplace mental health programs could actually lead to about $2.30 worth of benefits for the organization. So there is a quantified business case here, but at the same time, they're limited resources. We do know that. So a couple of things that then I'll just quickly touch on that needs to probably change here in our types of mindset. Number one, look at mental health much more broadly, not only in terms of stress, anxiety, depression. That's of course a key part of it, but really mental health, we need to frame it in a positive angle. And mental health is also about productivity. It's about growth. It's about learning. It's about development. And if you look at the World Health Organization definition of mental health, they cover all that. They cover coping. They cover contribution to society. So there is a positive angle to it that I think we need to frame, so to break the stigma. Second is prevention is cure. Quite often, sometimes we see in the workplaces or even society as a whole, we are being very reactive, right? But I think long-term planning, right, in terms of more awareness at the managerial level, for example, right? To have more job designs, work structures, or feedback mechanisms which are more emotionally sensitive. I think that can play a really important role as well. And finally, the breaking the stigma. What I mentioned about that Dr. Yo's vision is that that a time will come when people won't be victimized or persecuted or discriminated. Rather, it will be welcomed that they are seeking out mental health support. So really, the change of mindset plays a really important role as well, Andrea.
Yeah, I think, and as a last thing at this conversation, because I see Greg coming up, so I will bring him up very, very soon to the studio. I would like to ask you the last question about what are the barriers that we have to break? What are those things that are really hard and people should work support more on to change mindsets and to bring mental health more forward to more people, more awareness?
Oh, really good question. I'll quickly touch on it, and like we do have a whole session on this, and we can, later we talk about other conversations here. Some are institutional ones, which is about affordability, about lack of access. But I would say the biggest obstacle now still is our mindsets and our own mindsets, right? And I touched on some of that just now, right? Which is about looking at mental health in a positive angle. Mental health does not have to be seen as negatively, but really it's about growth and the growth mindset. That look, it's about, quite simply, mental health is about seeing how you can achieve your better potential. And as a society, how can we be more supportive about that, right? So I think that's really an important part there. And the other thing is that this we mental health does not have to be that complicated as well. Of course, if you need specialized support, you go see a psychiatrist, you see a psychologist, even a counselor. But at the basic and rudimentary level, right, in your family, in your workplace, you can actually play a role as a mental health advocate by just being more emotionally sensitive, by having a bit of literacy about conditions, and asking yourself, what can I do to help in my mental health and help those around us? For example, workplace mental health is the issue, but what about family mental health, postpartum depression as well? I think partners have such an important role to play. Husbands, particularly, have such an important role to play, and maybe that could be really another issue, because I was involved with a research project that looks at postpartum depression in Malaysia, and maybe that's something, another conversation we could have, Andrea, another point.
Let's do that. I think we will schedule because this topic is so important. I could bring it up every single week because leaders also need that, and everyone needs it, right? Even artists and even even sustainability. How we can make it sustainable. So it fits almost all the weeks of the summit. So I will reach out to you later, and I will bring you up more during these 5 weeks. And I'm really happy because this is such an issue nowadays, and I'm happy to showcase you. If you would like to reach out to Arman, then please just go to LinkedIn and search for his name, Arman Rashid. And yeah, I really loved the conversation. Please get back to the people. Alchan was asking you a lot of questions.
Yes, I
So
will. I'll do the
yeah,
questions. So
just check
absolutely.
it back. He's writing on Facebook, so check back the comments and then, yeah, please help him. And
I
then
will
we
do
also had Jack here. The more we engage with exercise, the more we can have a healthy living and mental health
that.
resilience will
Absolutely.
probably be strengthened.
And that's where the preventive and safe roles and safeguards play a role. So I look forward to engaging further. Again, have a wonderful day at the Global Empowerment Summit. Congratulations, Andrea, for the third year in a row, and God bless all of you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Arman, and have a beautiful day. And thank you again for jumping in and replacing
Anytime.
Kayatthri. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
And here we go in the studio. Until we are switching speakers. I see Greg already coming up. Greg is someone I truly admire. He has something which is very unique in the market, and it's something that's still keeping the human touch. So let's bring Greg up and let's have an amazing conversation. And here we are. Hi, Greg. How are you?
Good day. How are you, Andrea?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm in the studio, and this is my third day of the summit this year, so I'm really excited. And I had amazing conversation. I hope the audience is also enjoying it and they will rewatch it. And yeah, we are creating value here, and I'm happy that you are with us. So nice to have you, and thank you so much for helping me out. Audience doesn't know, but Greg is sponsoring me also with some specially made handwritten notes that I was sending out, and I'm so thankful for this. And we will talk about this more. I think the specialty will come in the conversation. So, Greg, tell us a little bit about yourself. Everything plus a little bit of personal. I like the professional side, but I also like to highlight people's personal lives. So, something about you. What's your favorite food, place? I don't know, anything.
Well, first of all, I'm a little bit crazy, and I help my clients make money out of dad jokes. So look out. In terms of a personal story, I'm based on the southern end of the Gold Coast in Australia. I have a 21-year-old son who's currently traveling Canada in a camper van. And I have a 23-year-old daughter who has just spent 3 weeks here, but is also living in Canada, with her boyfriend in Calgary. And as of about a week ago, Andrea, after 23 years of parenthood, we are finally going to give our children a white Christmas this coming Christmas in Canada. So there you go.
Tell me more about this. It's so interesting. I want to know the details. Why the first time?
Well, it's not the first time in the snow, but it will be the first time that we've been with our children for a white Christmas, because here in Australia on Christmas Day, a barbecue and the beach and the local park and swimming pools is the place where you go. There's no snow.
So it's the same in like Malaysia, right? I mean, I live in Malaysia for 6 years now, and I'm just so missing the seasons. I'm like, oh, Mom, are the leaves already like gray and brown and everything?
Yeah.
And then now is the time, the 1st of November, when everything gets really, really cold, and you have the first freezes, and then the winter is coming, and then the smell of the chimney cake and all this. I'm really missing that. So nice story. Thank you so much for sharing these family moments with us. Jag is also here saying, wow, that's great, Jag. Wish you the best of luck. And Anchen is also saying hi. So welcome in the audience. So today we have a very exciting session. We have the next 25 minutes together, and we are talking about sending handwritten notes and connect and appreciate, which is something special. I love to write postcards, but let me start with a story. I was sending postcards from Malaysia to Hungary in the last few years, and I gave up on them because most of the time those postcards never arrived. I sent them and they got lost while they were traveling this long way. It's 9,000 kilometers. And then the pandemic happened, and then it just gone crazy. So I'm so happy that you find an alternative. So tell us about this version, and tell us something about your beautiful work that you are spreading the word about.
So as part of your first question when we started, Andrea, the context around this is that I spent 20 years in what is known as the experiential education sector. So working with young adults outdoors here in Australia on expeditions. So we would, a couple of hundred kids would arrive on a Monday morning, and we would give them backpacks and mountain bikes and canoes. And
I love that. I was doing it when I was a kid.
There we go. And 10 days over there of 10 days of expeditioning, there was a big white carrot with a steering wheel. And there was a smaller group of people, usually 15 to 20 people. They had to navigate their way from point A to point B. And in all of that work, there were three main questions that we asked of each group that came through our business. And the first question was to get clear, or to answer the question, who am I? What's my answer to that as a young adult, discerning my best way forward? Or if I'm an older adult, who am I at work? Who am I as a family person? Who am I? What is the impact that I would like to have? And what does all of this mean? The second question that we would ask is, great, now that we're a group of 20 people in this little temporary community for 10 days of expeditioning, what do we want to achieve? And how do we want to achieve it? So who am I and what am I about? But then who are we? How are we going to treat each other? And what are we about? And the third question that we would ask, and these are not direct questions, these are the contextual questions of our work, was great. Now that we're starting to answer, who am I? And we're starting to answer, who are we? Now, the third question is, what legacy would we like to leave with what reputation as a group of people? Do we want to make our school a better place? Do we want to make our workplace a better place? Do we want to make our local community a better place, the state, the country? Or are we on about taking this education in and becoming the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be to have a positive impact? And ultimately, the question, now we didn't ask this question of, 16 and 17-year-olds, but ultimately the question is, when you're sitting in your rocking chair, well and truly retired in God's waiting room, whatever version you have of God's waiting room for you, and you look at your beloved and you say, how did we go, dear? For me, I want that answer to be that I had the best impact that I could possibly have to make the world a better place for me and us having been here. So after 20 years of that work, I picked that work up and I sold the business, and I watched the purchasing entity allow my baby to deteriorate until eventually in early 2020, what I had imagined in 1992, and it had this wonderful peak. It was a multi-million-dollar operation. They allowed it to deteriorate and die. And they were and are a wonderful organization, but they got one thing wrong, in my opinion. And as good as they were at wonderful training wonderful young adults to deliver the educational outcomes, brand new gear, wonderful operating procedures, pristine budgets, etc., 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 the piece that they got wrong was the customer experience piece. They forgot to put their arms around their clients and nurture them. Mm-hmm. And because that 20 years of relationship that I had built up wasn't nurtured, the customer experience deteriorated and the clients one by one wandered away until it wasn't a viable project or a viable business anymore. So I looked at that situation and I woke up to the fact that when all else is the same, the only defining factor that we have as human beings running businesses, the only piece left is the emotional labor that we do to define ourselves from a customer experience point of view. So if you fly an A320 in Australia, an Airbus A320 from Sydney to Melbourne, and you fly Jetstar here, that's the budget airline, you sit in your seat and your ticket says passenger, and you feel like you are being transacted and processed, and you'll pay a little bit less. If you go to the Gold Coast airport here and jump in a Jetstar A320, that's your experience. If you walk to a different end of the airport and you get in a Singapore Airlines flight, also an Airbus A320, and you sit in your seat and you look at your ticket, it says passenger. You have a drink delivered before takeoff and a hot towel arrives. Same machinery, but two very different experiences. Mm-hmm. So in 2017-18, when I looked at the marketing space, what I saw, and this is no disrespect to digital marketers because we need digital marketers, but what I saw was digital marketers piled 20 high on every street corner on this planet with no immediate way of seeing the good from the not so good. So we looked at the marketplace and we went, you know what? We don't want to be one of those guys.
Yeah, you want something special, right?
Something different. While everybody else is zigging into digital, we want to zag and stay leveraging the quietest channel to market, which just happens to be the post box, which in the Western world, most people still have in front of their businesses or in front of their homes. And that's what we did. We have now created a communication ecosystem around helping our clients show up. We help them show up on LinkedIn. We help them show up in the post, on the phone, via text, and via email in a communication ecosystem. And we leverage the hell out of our sense of humor on their behalf.
And I love the way how you sent me your elevator pitch. I ask everyone for the elevator pitch, and I want to read it out because it's just I don't know. I read this and I was like, this is so well written, and it's also explaining it on in your style. And I love people doing perfect, nice, beautiful elevator pitches. I'm a fan of it, so I will read this very slowly. So. This is Greg Smith's elevator pitch. As CEO of Send Handwritten, and creator of the memorable marketing blueprint, I help savvy, growth-focused business owners and sales teams secure meetings with difficult-to-reach decision makers. Part of the secret is to show up where you where you can whisper and still be heard, means in brackets physical mail, with marketing communication ecosystem so wow and so memorable that positive results are inevitable. I just love this. I mean, with your allowance, I would just post it under this because with your name, if it's okay with you to put it out there in the social medias, because I'm always helping people to figure it out. And elevator pitch is always hard, right? To figure it out.
Yes.
So this is something that has everything in it. So it's an amazing example.
And I'm compelled to share, Andrea, that, and thank you for the accolade. I appreciate that. But I'm compelled to share that we have now, in some ways, added to that story. But what we've really done now is underpin that story, put a foundation under that. What we've discovered for most of our clients, not all, but for most of our clients, the first thing that we need to get clear on with our clients is back to those three questions. Who am I? Or who are you? Because unless we know something of the essence, in Aussie language, something of the guts of who we are, it becomes challenging to express that essence, and it becomes more tricky to know the heart or the mind of the avatar, the human being that we would like to get the attention of. So what we've now done, we're running two parallel brands, and this is brand new. So our parallel brand is called Ubuntu. Sorry, I take that back. The parallel brand is Ubuntu, and I'll share where that came from. Powered by all of this technology and systems and processes that Send Handwritten have developed over the last 3 or 4 years. And Ubuntu is a derivative of the word Ubuntu, which is a South African word. Do you know it, Andrea?
I heard about it. I think I heard about it, yes.
So Ubuntu means, Andrea, this afternoon, it's afternoon here now, I see you, I recognize you, I hear you, and Andrea, because you are in my world, my life is enriched. Thank you. Together, 1 + 1 can equal 7 or 207 or a lot more than just the two of us. And what you're so good at is leveraging the hell out of the human spirit. So Ubuntu is about amplifying the human spirit, and I'm so empowered and grateful for having met you and learned that's exactly what you're up to, empowering.
I love it. Elchan is asking, is it Aboriginal word from Australia?
South African word. Ubuntu is a South African word. Yeah.
Okay, South African. So it's why South Africa? How did you find it? I'm always like going under this one. Like I'm curious about the origins. Like where did you find this? Did you read it? It was you were there.
I've never been to South Africa. It's a word that Nelson Mandela used. I heard it, and then I started to use it in my work that we were doing with the young adults outdoors. So, you can imagine a group of 15-year-old boys, shoving and pushing and tripping and punching and, doing all the stuff that boys do. That's all very normal. However, when you can calm the human spirit and remove some of that noise, in that case of being boys and jostling and all of that, in order to cut through all of that noise on the planet at the moment, there is a requirement for us to authentically connect, properly engage, and listen to understand. And Ubuntu was a word as part of my previous career that we've now brought into this current work that we're doing.
And tell me more about it. Like, what's exactly the service that you're offering? Because it was really creative. I saw it that it was very unique how you even created, and you have a wonderful team. I was connected to them, and they were supporting me in creating mine. So, yeah, tell us a little bit more about this work that you do.
Thank you again for asking, Andrea. So let's imagine, or don't imagine, in some of the statistics that I have read in 2019, there was about 250 billion spent on the planet in digital marketing. And in 2022, some of the statistics that I've read is that it will be well over $1 trillion will be spent in digital marketing. So the question becomes, how do we cut through that noise? If we don't have more money than the Almighty, how do we as mere mortals cut through that noise? So this communication ecosystem is what we support our clients with. The first step in all of that process is to firstly understand who are you and what impact would you like to have. And you've met Andy, our creative director,
Yes.
who's a senior part of our team. Everybody that is serious about this spends time with Andy to get clear on who they are. The next piece is once we've uncovered you, discovered who you are, then we want to express you. And what we generally do is, as part of the process, is that we make sure that your digital footprint on LinkedIn is as optimized as what we can possibly get it. So we've got a senior team now who are very, very skilled in that LinkedIn space. We help optimize LinkedIn profiles. We help create a messaging sequence that has an interesting edge to it. I don't know about you, Andrea, but so help me if I get another request to connect which says, "Hi, Greg, I found your profile and we're connected to a few of the same people. Let's connect." Like,
Oh yeah, there are other nastier ones. I get a lot. So
how
don't worry.
boring. Like mine at the moment, Andrea, and anybody that wants it can have it. "Hi, Andrea, if you put your pants on one leg at a time, it makes you a human being first and a business person second. If you're feeling brave, let's connect. Cheers, Greg." Then what we do is we
Fun
help
and
our...
entertaining, right?
Sorry?
Something fun and entertaining at the same time.
Yeah, well, stop being beige. Nobody cares about corporate communication if it doesn't have a genuine human edge to it. Like you said to me a minute ago, Greg, I'd love to know your story. Human beings are meaning-making machines that create stories around them to make sense of why the hell and blazes it is that we are here. So once we help our clients optimize their profiles, we create messaging sequences, and you now have what we call an audio digicard with your voice in a handwritten message that shows up. We then help them with a content strategy, and then we help them run LinkedIn webinars. So let's imagine for a moment that my profile has a couple of these guys on it. In fact, it goes that way. Couple of upside down cockatoos. If you look at my LinkedIn profile, those guys show up on my LinkedIn profile. That's an envelope, and inside the envelope, there's the cockatoos. Look, goes that way. Cockatoos showing up again. So we want the cockatoos to show up in an optimized profile because people remember images way better than they remember words, and they remember experiences way better than they remember images. So cockatoos show up in somebody's LinkedIn profile. Cockatoos show up in an audio digicard. Cockatoos now show up in a carefully scripted, cleverly designed physical mail piece that goes out in the mail. And that's an example of one. We then want our call team on the phone after that piece has gone out in the mail, on the phone. "Hi, Andrea, wondering if you could help me, please." "Yeah, sure. Who the hell are you?" "Did you get a couple of cockatoos in the mail last week?" "I beg your pardon? A couple of what?" We have a call team that start conversations. They are not telemarketers. They are conversation starters. And then we want our clients to show up via text, and we want the cockatoos, if that's the example, to show up again in an email sequence. This is for either lead generation or for client retention, or a lost sheep campaign. Every one of us that have been in business for a period of time have a list of contacts in our phone. We have a list of contacts in our emails. The more sophisticated of us have a CRM with a bunch of people that we haven't touched, haven't tapped on the shoulder for many, many years. So there's so much more to share, but that's the ecosystem that we encourage our clients to operate in. If you're interested in Twitter and TikTok and Facebook and all of those other possibilities, awesome. Don't come here. Go and find those other experts.
So you created this out of passion, out of experience, because you saw how it's not working for you. So you wanted to be somewhat different on the market. You wanted to be, like Toby would say, remarkable. You wanted to do something that people are like, oh, okay, what's this? So creating this kind of curiosity in people and trying to find out, okay, what does he mean with this? Then it creates the first step to the conversation, and then you put them into kind of like a community or in a loop of messaging, in a loop of care of customer. I wouldn't say center, because it's kind of like a customer conversational communicational nice way of even friendship, I would say, because you are starting from building a nice beautiful deep connection with your customers, or with your customers' basically.
That's right. And so, Andrea, just to put a little bit more context around that, a group of us got together here last year and we wrote a book, How to Be a 6-Star Business. And How to Be a 6-Star Business. So if we think about together and ask ourselves the question, what does it feel like to be engaged in a 5-star business? Most of us that have been on the planet for more than 5 minutes have been into a 5-star restaurant or a multi-star restaurant or a multi-hatted restaurant, or we've at least stood in the foyer of a 5-star, hotel, say. If it was a hotel that is 5-star, what would it take for that 5-star establishment to become 6-star? And it turns out that the answer to that question, and that's the consistent theme from all of the people that contributed to that book, it turns out that it's necessary for us to show up human to human. So stop the B2B BS, stop the corporate complicated tech talk, and show up as a warts and all, crazy, broken, brilliant, genuine, messed up, genius human being that we all are. So there's a concept on the planet at the moment, and it's called Web 3.0. And Web 3.0 is the internet of goddamn everything. It's everything is connected to everything. And in theory, Andrea, we are all connected to each other because of social media. But social media has brought more misery and more complication and more uncertainty for so many people than what we can figure out. So we are talking with our clients, and the lead that we are taking in this space is Web 3.0 is beige. Think 10 years beyond Web 3.0 and what have we got? The answer to that question is what we've called Web 3.H, where H is for human. So I'm not dismissing the importance of Web 3.0. It is unavoidable, and it is coming, or it is here. In my head, we as a team know that the only point in Web 3.0 is to help us show up more human, more connected, more engaged, so that we get to have the impact on the planet that we choose to have. So Web 3.0 is a means goal. What happens in my rocking chair at 93 years of age, that's the end goal. Did I or am I leaving this planet better for me having been here? This is simply a lever to get there.
Well, I am understanding and resonating with many, many things that you say. I love to keep internet and digital human. I have one example that we have an entrepreneurship group together for the last 3 years. And some of these people have never met. And just this year, we started to meet up after 3 years. And someone saw this group meeting who was not in the group originally. And he saw hugging people, easy people with each other, like really like they are good friends for 30 years. And he was asking, oh, these people haven't met before? And I was like, well, they didn't, but I put so much effort in the last 3 years to keep up this community, to meet up every Monday morning online in a Zoom and create an environment which is digital, but it's human. It's about the people inside. It's about their friendship, their struggles. They help each other, they support, they are open. It's a safe place. And no one can tell me today that internet, digital cannot be like that. Yeah. But just as you said, we have to keep the age. We have to keep the human in the center. Because if we take that out, what remains is the bots. And we cannot compete with the bots, right? So the only thing what differentiates us, it's our feeling, it's our supportiveness, it's our empathy, it's the humanness inside. So I'm so resonating with you.
So, and I think I forgot to come back to what I was going to share earlier. Being 6-star requires 5 things. It requires empathy, seeing the world from the other's point of view, inwards to your world. So empathy is crucial. The second piece of our model is Ubuntu, which means I see you, I hear you, I recognize, and I appreciate you. The third part of our model is creating wow and delight and surprise. If a multi-billion-dollar company like Disney has leveraged the fact that creating magic is key, the question for us as entrepreneurs is how do we empathize, how do we appreciate, and how do we create that magic by doing the emotional labor required in our own business? The fourth part of 5 in our model is how do you create experiences for your clients that are remarkable and memorable? Human beings don't remember stuff. Andrea, what did you get for your 10th birthday? Do you remember?
No, I don't. I remember the cake, though. I love the cake.
Right. Okay. So although you can remember the cake, the stuff, the presents, just the stuff around that tends to fade. We remember the energy and the cousins and the pool or the beach or the park or the snow or whatever it was that was part of that, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old birthday experience. That's what we choose to recall. So for entrepreneurs, what experiences are we creating for our clients that are remarkable and memorable? And the fifth part of 5 in our model is when all is said and done, Andrea, the only thing that we have as human beings is our word. Clear all of the fog of all of the tools and all of the staff and all of the experience and the magic and the empathy. The only thing that we've got left is our word. So when you say you're going to ship it, ship it. If you're going to post it, post it. If you're going to email it, email it. If you're going to show up, show up. And on time is 5 minutes late in my world. What keeping your word does, it builds trust and it creates loyalty. And the most cost-effective way to build a business is to build loyalty by always being good to your word. The rest is tactics.
I think this is beautiful closing word for this amazing, magical, uplifting, delightful conversation that we had together. And I'm really loving the energy that you have and all the things that you were talked about Please, guys, if you would like to have some human touch in your business, reach out to Greg. Send handwritten. You can figure his links also on the page of the Global Empowerment Hub. You just have to go to the speakers page and you have Greg there and his LinkedIn. And yeah, I think that's the best way. Reach out to him via LinkedIn because he loves inspiring, but don't send boring messages. Send something about lost sheep or that you just woke up and no dress on, something like this. So that he really reads that message because yeah, he knows how to write them. Thank you so much, Greg, and have an amazing day. And I see Sam in the studio, so I will bring him up. And yeah, I also SUW1M2, and I'm grateful to meet you today.
Yes, likewise, Andrea. You're brilliant, and thank you for all that you're doing to empower the human spirit.
Yeah, thank you so much, Greg. See you again. Bye-bye. So let's switch the studio, and we are welcoming someone else here in the studio, Sam, who is also a very, very inspiring entrepreneur, and you will learn a lot from his story. And I will just bring him up quickly, and let's warm up with some starting questions. Hi, Sam. How are you today? Let me unmute you so that you can speak. Here you go.
There you go. How you going, Andrea? Thank you
I'm
very
good.
much.
I'm good. So many inspiring conversation. I'm just enjoying them.
That's good. Good to get the end of Greg Smith's chat just there. That was really good. How's everything going so far?
Everything is all right. As usual, the people are living their lives, so there are changes, but I think we are all good with this. And yeah, I have such a deep pool of deep pool of speakers. Imagine that someone dropped out because she got ill this morning, and then I was like, oh, who is around? And then magically one of the speakers was coming, Andrea, can I come? And I was like, wow, what it is? It's not enough fate. You have to come and replace this girl. And he showed up and we had an amazing conversation on mental health issues, which is so important. So yeah, I'm blessed with all the people supporting this summit and always being there for me whenever something happens. So now you're part of the team. So welcome in the GES family for the first time.
That means a lot. It's an absolute honor to be here and to be a part of this network, and to meet you and all the amazing people that you know and who help inspire entrepreneurs around the world. This is absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much for coming in. And let's just start with the first thing to get to know you a little bit better. I always start with this: share with us something personal and something professional, so that people get to know you and can connect with you a little bit.
Something personal. Well, look, I'm a father of three. I'm a big family comes first sort of person. You know, business is busy, but family comes first, and I love being on the racetrack with the cars, with the family as well. So that's a bit of personal.
Racetrack. Wait, I have to ask something. What kind of racetrack?
So motorsports, so vehicle, car racing. My dad does it, and I got into it. It's just small stuff, nothing too extreme, but it's good fun. It's truthfully, it's the only thing that I can actually switch off from anything else. I'm always thinking about business or family or new things to do, but racing in the car is the one thing that actually I can just focus on that.
Yeah, I resonate with you. For me, it's dancing. No matter what happens, I'm stressed. Someone is like not showing up. I just switch off and I start to dance and I put on the music and then I'm in the flow. So let's go to the professional part. Sam, what is the thing that you do?
Professionally, I just love helping people succeed. And you've probably seen this quite a lot recently, Andrea, with everything that I post. Everything that I talk about is trying to not only educate, but help people develop, whether it's professionally or personally, so that they can succeed. That's everything that I enjoy doing. It's a big passion of mine. So everything I do in business is revolved around making sure that people can win and people can succeed in whatever their ideal life or version of success is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love this, and we will go into the details of this because I'm always interested and always like to showcase people because who knows, this is just like I told you in airport, like imagine the Global Empowerment Hub is just supporting and connecting all the people from all around the world so that they can collaborate with each other, and if I need someone, I will go to the hub speakers and coaches and experts and CRM specialists, because I don't have to go to anywhere else. So I would love everyone to do that. That's how we build this digital ecosystem. So your topic today, we can become what we want by remaining who we are. I love the topic already, but I have to ask you to tell us what's behind. Why did you choose this title for today?
Well, it's a really famous quote, and for us in our business, what we do is, understanding that where we are, whether we're stuck or we're moving in a positive way, if we want to get from there to somewhere better, we have to either learn, change something that we're doing, or add some new things. So for me, becoming what we want by remaining who we are, we have to adapt, we have to change, and we have to be sometimes, for lack of a better word, coachable. For me personally, I, develop myself and the team around me every single day. So we have to learn and adapt to a growing world. This digital space. I've avoided social media for a long time, but coming heavily into business for the last couple of years, I've really had to go, well, I shouldn't have done that. I really should have kept up with times, but now I'm coming into it really quick. So we have to adapt to our situations, and that's what will help us, get to where we want to be.
Yeah, I think it's a decision that is more like a jump for most of the people. It was for me also, because I love to be offline. Sitting here, it was at the first beginning when I started these summits was really hard for me. Sitting here for four days for 1 weekend, 72 hours. Then I was sitting here 220 hours, and then now I'm doing the same for 5 weekends. It's hard to do it, but then you start to see that, okay, if I put this investment, then after that it comes back, and then my brand will be bigger. I can impact more people. I can work with more people, support more people. So my whole purpose in life, my vision is coming closer. My dreams are coming closer, right?
That's exciting. It's very exciting when you have that realization, but the amount of people that you're touching is absolutely fantastic. And once again, it's so good to be able to help do that, and hopefully we can add some more value over this next coming weeks. So
yes, so tell me a little bit, what are the steps, what are the things that you do first with the people who are coming to you? What are those tips that you can give for someone who want to change, who want to do something for their business?
Well, first of all, we have to identify what's working currently, what's not working, what obstacles are in the way, what the values of the business and the people are currently, to understand where they want to go. We can't really obviously go where we want to go without understanding who we are, what we want, where we want to be. So there's a bit of a planning process, but it's mainly just listening to people. What people tend to forget is that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Sometimes we just need to sit there and listen. Sometimes people just want a sounding board to just talk and vent about either their problems or what they're going through, so people can go, all right, I've now listened. This is what I hear. Let's find a solution for those problems. And unfortunately, Jess can't be here today. I do apologize about that, everyone. I know that there was probably a few people excited to talk to Jess today as well. But she has an incredible way of finding the best solutions in every scenario, especially when it comes to admin and the processes there that she works with. But it's about finding those solutions that people can't see. Because when you're in business, and a lot of new business owners go, and they're in their box, and they often can't see what's outside of that box to help them get to the next step. So it's coming in from an outsider's perspective and going, okay, well, these are the obstacles that you can't see. This is how we can solve those problems to move forward.
So this is a very good example, actually, because you said that we are in a box and we are so focused in our daily things, even just creating a post on social media and all this. So what can help an entrepreneur to see the big picture, to be able to slow down and to say that, okay, I start here, 1 step at a time. This is what I will do today. So, or what do you do yourself? Tell us a little bit about this.
I think the word that you use just then is slow down. And it's a massive thing that a lot of people, when they're in business, either for the first time or they've been in business for a long time, they're so focused on getting the job done, or the money, and all the little things that they need to do. I did it 3 weeks ago. You know, I was forced to slow down. And ever since I slowed down and did my planning, I have a whole book here that I wrote in a week. I filled the book up in a week with, I went back to basics, back to foundations, who I am, what's my why, where do I want to be, who do I want to be remembered for. Then I talked about the business and everything like that. You have to take that time to slow down to give yourself clarity so that you can actually start on that journey. Because without clarity and without that plan, it's going to affect your mindset in a different way. And this is something that I've started talking about quite a lot. With your core values, if your core values aren't aligning up with the goals, or you don't value the goals that you're trying to achieve, and you don't see those results, it's going to affect your mindset, which is then also going to affect you achieving those goals, whether it be quickly or at all. And an example I was shown a little while ago was with food and exercising. If you want to lose weight or you want to build muscle, but you value pizza and Coke and all the rest of it, it's going to be very difficult. And it's not impossible, but it's going to be very, very difficult for you to achieve those goals. And it's the same thing in business and life. You have to value and understand that path of what you need to do to get there.
I really appreciate all this, what you're sharing with us. I think it's so valuable. So please, guys who are watching us or who will rewatch this later, because the content will stay, because we are empowering and knowledge sharing all the way. So think about it and make notes, because all these experts like Sam or Greg before, or anyone who was here today or yesterday, sharing really golden nuggets. And these nuggets are so powerful if you really implement it. I think it's especially the story, and I want to ask you this, Greg, Sam, that you are a father of 3, and we always talk about empowerment for women and all these, and I really wanted to change this. And in this empowerment hub, we are empowering anyone without labels. But to say that you are a father of 3, you also have commitments. You also have to show up for your kids. You also have to have that balance. So how do you manage all these? Running a business, of course, making sure that your wife is happy, because happy wife, happy life. So how do you manage all this together as a person, as a man, as a father, as a business owner?
For me, it feels very easy. I'm a very energetic, very upbeat sort of person. I find it very, very simple. My family being happy is the number one thing to me. So I can bring my enthusiasm to them. It helps me be energetic towards my business and the people around me. I like to empower people and make people smile. That's what I enjoy doing. But time management is massive. I use my calendar. I put everything in there, down to even driving times, picking the kids up from school, anything, something small and simple, just planning every single day out. And yeah, it just becomes easier and easier. And look, to be honest with you, it's not all me. As I say, I put a lot of content out there and I talk, but Jess finesses everything that I do. So she grounds me. The one that, gets, finesses everything for me. She grounds what I do, and I'm the bright and shiny person. I like to go, bright and shiny thing and go off in a direction. She's like, come back here, focus on this, get it done, and we'll go. And she really helps define who I am. And I think, there's an old saying, behind every great man is an even better woman. And I do truly believe that for those that have partners. I mean, Jess is obviously my business partner, but my life partner as well. I prefer to say, instead of happy wife, happy life, I prefer to say happy spouse, happy house. Something a little bit different.
I love it. I love all this, and already your pineapple shirt is making me laugh all the time when I look at you. So it's only bright and shiny pineapples coming onto my screen. I just love to have them. I want to just reach out to the audience. Archana is saying, having core values to plan and look back where you can achieve your goals. Yes, that was exactly. Absolutely. And then Jeg is also here. So it's all about time management. So yes, I think it's a very important point, the time management. And I would like to go back to that, because many people talk about it, right? Everyone is talking about it. Manage your time, do your time management, have a calendar, But what is working? Like, how do you really manage your time? How do you really make sure that because it's okay to plan, But most people fail when it's about the execution. So even if they have it on their to-do list, they are not going through it, or they just don't get there. So
There's lots of different ways to do it. There's so many different ways that you can do it. But for me, I look at everything that I need to do on a daily or a weekly basis, and I plan it out. Then I set meetings in and around those times. And it's purely just being in an environment where I know that I have to do something. If my calendar's empty, the way my mind works is I go, great, I've got free time. And I often don't have free time. So I need to book stuff in and make sure I'm consistently doing stuff. So I book in, as I said, not just my driving, but, if I need to be on social media, looking through to like, comment, or even post stuff, I put that in there. I schedule everything out. And I even see Jess's calendar, so I know where she is at. I know where the family's at. We had a live Zoom with a team in America on Friday, and I had a school fun run with my son and my daughters on Friday afternoon. So I had to plan that out and make sure we got the work done. But we still had that opportunity to impact some more people. So for time management, there's a lot of different ways. You can do it in time blocks, hour blocks, or do the most important things first. But again, it's whatever works for each individual person. Everyone's different. Everybody has different learning styles. And I think for me, it's understanding what your learning style is, who you are, and how you actually get things done. Because look, my career has been in sales. I was in sales for about 5 to 6 years, and I learned a lot of skills in that industry that taught me time management, that taught me, obviously sales, but all the other people skills and
showing up for meetings, clients, and
right. Emotional intelligence, empathy, all of these communication skills that you need in business. So I now use that every single day, and I look back every year. I look back where I was a year ago and reflect on the goods, the bads, and how I can learn from those lessons and grow even further. So back to time management, there's a lot of different ways, but it's what works for each individual person. And, we can help find that out by your learning style and a few other factors.
So for you, if you think just the practical tools to mention, you were mentioning your calendar. You mean you have your Google Calendar, and then, for example, in that everything is there, and then you have shared calendars with your teams, and this is what you use, right?
That's one of the things I use. I also use a handwritten diary as well. So I put, if distractions come up during the day, I put them in my handwritten diary. Go, okay, I'll action that once everything else is done. So I try and cut out the distractions as much as possible. So I do use that. I've got 3 whiteboards in the office here. So, I've got other things, long-term tasks, short-term tasks, things that don't need to be actioned right now. Because if I don't have those things planned out, my mind will go, well, I need to get that done now, when it's not necessarily important. So I think it's also understanding what's urgent, what's not urgent, what can be done quickly.
The categorization of the different tasks into groups. Yes, and deal with the most urgent one. Yeah.
Organizing what you're doing.
It's really interesting, and I love this. Thank you for sharing. And we can skip a little bit the part of all these business fancy things, but go back to the ground, and then say, okay, I'm a business owner. I would like to have a successful business in 2022. And then what are the 3 easy tips or 3 things that you would say for people like these people, like business people who want to have some success? What should they start with? What are the things to focus on?
The biggest thing, I've reflected on this over the past few weeks, ever since you and I first spoke. The biggest things that has helped me in the businesses that I run are the connections that I have. Building the right connections, being someone that communicates and offers to help people. For me, my connections and the people around me are more valuable than any money that I will ever make through business, because these people not only support me, I can go to them with ideas. They refer people to me. I refer people to them. For me, communication and connections are 2 of the major things that I've found that have made me as successful as I've become especially the last 6 months. The last 2 years, as everyone knows, has been very tough, and we're not going to get into that subject. But, the last 6 months, things have just exploded. And Jess, as a first-time business owner in the last year or so, for her, it's something completely different. But her personal development has come a long way as well. When I first met Jess a couple of years ago, she wouldn't get into a room of 2 people to talk about, who she is and what she does. On a weekly basis, she gets in front of 30 to 50 people. It's absolutely fantastic to see her personal development. I think I'm getting a little bit off track here, but in terms of, these tips, connections and communication, it's the biggest thing. For me, I am always, when I'm meeting people, linking on LinkedIn, emailing and texting, making sure that I've said, yeah, it was great to meet you. If I get people messaging me, and I know there's a few spammers out there these days, but sending an appropriate message, not a 3-word or a 1-word thumbs up. To me, my principles, that's not communication, and that's not how business is done. We need to effectively communicate with people, and offering to see how we can help those business owners or those people who are reaching out to us or that we're trying to connect with, how we can help them achieve what they're trying to achieve. Because if we help other people like we're trying to do here, things are going to come around and come back to us eventually.
Yes, I definitely think that it's all the power of collaboration, and also what I believe in is diversity, that bringing all the types of people from all walks of life together can create such a powerful powerhouse all together, that I just can't believe that we cannot elevate, we cannot walk the talk and make a huge impact in the world together. Just imagine all the 400 speakers, if they all just show up and are there together and helping others, and it happened already, and then it's still happening, and then other things are coming up in the future. I think that's a wonderful thing to see, to develop, and happy to welcome you in the circle. And I'm happy to support you in any ways I can. For the last part of the conversation, I would just ask again a little bit about how you help people, so that we can also just show people what your business is about. So just tell us a little bit more. Okay, who are the people that you're serving? What are you doing with them? And what is the outcome? What is the benefit that they are getting when they are working with you?
Yeah, so 2 of the biggest problems that Jess and I solve collectively is time and clarity. So Jess and I have a lot of different skills, and we've formed it into 4 different divisions under JSM Solutions. So we have the admin division, we have the action division, we have sales, and we have retention, which is reputation as well. So when it comes to admin tasks or processes and procedures, which is Jess's side of the business, implementing those structures in the businesses gives not only the business owner time back so that they're not staying up till 1 a.m. every night doing their admin tasks, but it's putting in a streamlined process so that their team and their employees understand what they need to do, understand the values of the company, and can continue to do their job in the best way possible. So that, those employees aren't coming back to the owner and going, how do I do this? How do I do that? Making sure everything is as smooth as possible for the business to operate as efficiently as possible. Because Jess's why, what she does, she wants to change the perception of how admin staff and tasks are viewed and be a business's secondary management. When it comes to clarity, it comes down to understanding, as I said at the start, your core values, understanding who you are, your learning styles, your direction, and planning out, reverse engineering everything that you want to do and who you want to be, your ideal version of success, and making a plan to get to your version of success. That's clarity. Once you have direction, once your mindset is at a point where you can continue going, it's giving yourself that clarity to go, okay, I'm going in the right direction. Business isn't always easy. For a lot of people, it's very, very difficult. Sometimes it can be very easy. It depends on the systems and processes, the people that you have around you to make that easier for people. And then when you have that clarity, it becomes a lot better. Setting those goals, 5, 6, 10-year goals, short-term goals. It's not, a lot of people just focus on the goals, but it's a lot more in-depth than that. So one of my clients at the moment, I talk to him every day. It's all around mindset, but also developing that path to where he wants to be. And a question, I'll ask people who are listening in later or now, what's your mindset towards yourself, towards your business on a scale of 1 to 10? Look at that, how you're feeling, and then how can you improve? If you're sitting at a 7 or a 6, how can you improve that? What's stopping you from achieving that mindset or that attitude to be a 9 or a 10? it's looking at those little avenues to elevate yourself.
I appreciate this, and it's a nice thing because at the hub we are also doing the wheel of life, so whoever is coming is around the wheel of life, and I love this approach of checking in with ourselves time to time and giving rating ourselves, and then saying, okay, I'm here today, what can I do to be better? And in financial financial literacy, I'm here today, and where I want to be, and how I can be better, who I can turn to. So it gives us, like, mapping out our life like that can give us a lot of inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you so much for your share. I was really happy to have you here, and I'm happy to get to know you a little bit better. Most of the time, the audience doesn't know that I have not really spent a lot of time with the speakers, but I make sure that I interview everyone before they come on board. And I had a very nice short conversation with Sam before, and I said immediately, yes, I have to bring him because I see the good heart and I see the good intentions and the positive vibes and the pineapples. So I have to have him. Thank you so much, and I just give a hug for Jess also from me, and thank you so much for showing up and being here and supporting the vision of the Global Empowerment Hub. And reach out to Sam. Where can people reach you? What's the best way? LinkedIn, Facebook, which social media they can find
LinkedIn,
you?
Facebook. I'm on either of them pretty much daily, so I'll always check it. You'll always get a decent message back for me. At the end of the day, as I said, I love connecting with people, so feel free to tell me what your passions are. Tell me how I can help you, not just in business but personally. Who can I connect you with? But look, at the end of the day, it's about us all coming together, helping everyone win. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. Thank you for the closing words, and have an amazing, it will be afternoon for you, right? Already
It is
late
afternoon. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you so much, and then see you at another time, and thank
We'll
you
see you
for
soon.
coming. Bye. So it was such an amazing day with amazing speakers. Let's just read it back after I said goodbye to Sam. So we had Brian Schulman here at the morning, opening the show with Voice Your Vibe and a lot of tips for LinkedIn video marketing. So watch back if you haven't seen or if you are from another time zone. After that, we had a little break and we had a little update about the summit, how it's happening. And then someone couldn't make it, but one of my amazing experts and friends, Arman, jumped in to talk about mental health. We were talking about what are the different mental health professionals, when to turn to them, what are the challenges in this industry, and about his way of looking at it like a proactive way and awareness building. And then we had Greg here. Greg was talking about sending handwritten notes and making a difference in business with going back to the roots. And then we also had Sam here just now, who was talking about how you can create a better communication, a better clarity, and how it can serve your business and your life. And please connect with all these professionals. We will come back again. Now we are having a little bit of lunch break. And after the lunch break, we will have Derek Mildred here, who is an absolutely lovely, and I just adore him. He is a LinkedIn professional, helping so genuinely to many to professionalize and to make your LinkedIn profiles better. And then Victor is coming straight away from Africa, and we will talk about the results formula and then how to deal with dips in business, which is also very interesting. Then Andrew is coming up. Andrew is from the A3 Hubs, who is actually leading incubators in Malaysia and Philippines. And yesterday we had the first women startup competition together in Southeast Asia. And it just turned out to be so lovely. You can watch that back also on the YouTube channel. And very exciting, we have Michael Hazilias also here today, who will speak about Breakout Solutions, his story of building his empire, his business, and how he built it from ground up, and how he's focusing now to empower people about the new way of digital wealth. They will come back also for an empowering masterclass later. And straight after this, yes, it's not over yet. It's a whole day of empowerment. So we have a masterclass with Roland. Roland is a founder of a startup called Posi.io. You can watch it and check it out. And they are helping startups to put their ideas out there and to get funding. And he will talk about how to pitch. They themselves were pitching and won. Actually, a Hungarian company, imagine, they won funding, and an angel investor came in from Singapore to help them to grow. And this will be a 2 hours masterclass as part of the bootcamp of the summit. Then again, a little break, and then again, exciting from 7 o'clock. Most of you must have seen Veronica if you are on LinkedIn. Veronica is an amazing person, dancing, vibing, giving out so many good vibes on LinkedIn. So Veronica Safwa also will talk about how to create your online course. This is also part of the bootcamp masterclasses. And the end of the day, the most exciting end of the day, we will have a networking session today, a spooky networking festival from 9:15 p.m. And we would like to have you there with a very nice Halloweeny background, and if you can, with a little bit of dress for Halloween. And let's enjoy connecting, as Sam said. Let's enjoy building human connections, and yeah, let's have an awesome time. The first weekend is ending of the Global Empowerment Summit, and 4 more to go. And thank you for those who were tuning in. Thank you, Al, and thank you, Jack, for the support. I'm so appreciating. I always have 2 or 3 people who are there for all of the sessions. Like last year it was Singfong, Jag, and some other people showing up. Thank you so much for making time and showing up for these sessions. And if you are rewatching the sessions, then enjoy. Make sure you have a notebook with you and make sure you are implementing this knowledge. Thank you so much, Sam, for being here. Thank you, Greg. And see you soon in 1 hour time with 3 more other experts bringing their magic and sharing their stories. Thank you so much. Don't forget, but I always say, dare to dance your way, and don't forget to empower others without labels. See you guys in 1 hour.